I remember being a typical happy-go-lucky kid back in the 1960s and hoping for what I perceived as the ultimate, best, most fantastic, and glorious birthday gift that a bright-eyed youngster could ever receive. Alas, my birthday hopes were dashed, but I knew that all was not lost. I'd get my second chance at Christmas time. And Saint Nick certainly didn't disappoint as I frantically ripped the gift wrap off, and I suddenly saw the words that were indelibly imprinted into my childhood brain: creepy crawlers. Even better than the mysterious Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory, I could now create endless varieties of crawling creatures to terrorize unsuspecting friends and enemies, teachers and parents, brothers and sisters, and anyone who hated bugs, spiders, scorpions, and the like. It was a young, mischievous boy's dream. Horny toads, frogs, and lizards, bodacious beetles, wiggly worms, crazy cockroaches, terrifying tarantulas, slithering snakes, pitter-pattering centipedes. Now they would all suddenly appear from my laboratory. At last, I was a master of creepy creations, and I had the power to change the world. Created by the toy maker Mattel, creepy crawlers consisted of a custom hot plate called the Thingmaker, a series of die-cast metal molds, and several colorful bottles of a plastic liquid that would solidify into a rubber-like substance when heated up. The Thingmaker hot plate was well made and as sturdy as a boat anchor, made of thick, heavy-gauge metal. And that metal housing protected the electrical components that heated up the aluminum die-cast plates that contained the molds of the creeping, crawling bugs, the reptiles, and the scary creatures that stimulated the creative imagination of these young amateur entomologists. And as precious as gold itself, no kid could ever have enough of the colorful plastigoop, the thick liquid substance that was carefully poured into the molds to create the bodies of these creepy creations. Once the colorful plastigoop was poured into the mold, the Thingmaker would heat up the plate to 390 degrees Fahrenheit, and the object would slowly solidify. A slot in the mold plate allowed you to insert a special set of wire tongs that enabled you to lift the plate without getting burned. Then, utilizing the metal tongs, you would carefully submerge the metal mold into a custom tray half filled with cooling water. You'd wait a few minutes until everything had cooled down, and then you'd take your wire tongs and remove the mold from the tray, and then you'd ever so gently pry your creepy creation out of the mold and bring it into the real world. But the creepy creation process didn't have to end there. You could further customize with the provided make-and-play paint. With this ingenious craft tool called Creepy Crawlers, you were ready to enhance your childhood with wood ticks, blowflies, a starfish, an octopus, a frog, a larva, a shrimp, a centipede, a rattlesnake, a trilobite, a house spider, and even a tarantula, or a bat to hang in the doorway. And Mattel didn't stop with that initial creepy crawler set. They continued to create a host of new molds, including giant-sized creatures to really freak your teacher out. As much as I loved my creepy crawlers, Mattel soon released Creeple People, and they were just as exciting and intriguing as the creepy crawlers were. With Creeple People, you could create fun little troll-like characters, and then you could dress them up and even add colorful hair. The metal molds consisted of the fronts and backs of the Creeple People heads, their cartoon-like arms, hands, and their big, cumbersome feet. And with all the new colors of Plastigoop being released, the sky was the limit. And it was easy to get your Creeple Peoples into school because their bodies were simply a pencil. What teacher would deny a kid a pencil, even though it was a highly creative enhanced pencil? Yes, Creeple People were a great way to troll the teacher, and you did it with a troll. Soon after that, Mattel released Eeks, which were marketed as icky sillies that give you the willies. And these icky sillies came out of Thingmaker molds that were just as ingenious as the creepy crawlers and the Creeple People. With this came another adventure into the macabre. A kid could create gruesome fangs, creepy fingernails, and even scary lips that he could put on his own body. It was a perfect addition for Halloween. The Thingmaker molds for the fangs and for the fingernails were always a favorite with kids. But coming a close second was the skeleton. And beyond the creepy lips, you could even create a padlock to keep your creepy comrades as prisoners. If you happen to be a kid who loved arts and crafts, then Mattel's Pikadoos were made just for you. The mold plates had a 10 by 10 grid, and you could strategically place different colors of the Plastigoop to create patterns, pictures, and artwork. This setup gave you the ability to create whatever you wanted, and it was just plain fun. And Funflowers was another addition to the Thingmaker family that gave the ability to make varieties of Plastigoop flowers. Kids were having a ball while pushing the limits of their customized creativity. And Mattel's Triple Maker got you a combination of creepy crawlers, eeks, mini dragons, and frightful fun. And for sure, kids love dragons. So Mini Dragons was a popular addition to the Thingmaker creativity family. You could cook up colorful combinations of dragon wings, body armor, ears and tongues, mouths, feet, and even crab-like claws. This was a dragon fun fest at its best. If you were really lucky, you got your hands on Everything Maker, which featured molds for creepy crawlers, mini dragons, funflowers, eeks, Pikadoos, and Soofy Goofies. And even though it was way back in the 1960s, Zoofy Goofies would turn you into a genetics scientist, and you could create strange, fantastic hybrids of various jungle animals. With your Zoofy Goofy Plastigoop molds, you could easily make darling duck doggies, quirky quackopotamuses, hip hippo giraffes, or even make yourself a leisurely lionopotamus or a jumping giraffe waggy. About the same time Mattel came out with the Thingmaker, Charles Schulz's Peanuts cartoon strip was becoming astronomically popular. Charlie Brown and his quirky independent beagle Snoopy, Linus and Lucy and the rest of the Peanuts gang captured the imagination of kids and adults alike. So Mattel coordinated with Charles Schulz and created Super Cartoon Maker, which gave kids the ability to create their own three-dimensional Peanuts characters. The molds included favorites like Linus and his versatile blanket, Snoopy in his World War I Flying Ace uniform, Lucy screaming at Charlie Brown, and Charlie Brown's puzzlement as he reads his sister's long list to Santa. The creative genius of Walt Disney transformed the world of entertainment for people young and old. And luckily, for kids with Thingmakers, Mattel did a deal with Disney to create molds of their beloved characters. And of course, To the delight of the Thingmaker creator kids, that would include the world-famous Mickey Mouse himself. And no Disney universe would ever be complete without the lovable, fun, and silly Goofy. Kids could take their Plastigoop and from floppy ears to clown-like feet, create a wonderful, three-dimensional Goofy likeness. And if you were partial to Donald Duck, well, there was a plate mold to create him as well. From his cute little beret to his wonderful webbed feet, you could make your own Uncle Donald. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length animated motion picture. So it only makes sense to have a mold of Snow White and at least one dwarf. But don't worry, they also made molds for the other 6 dwarves. You can just imagine the endless bottles of Plastigoop that fill these wonderful molds. Walt Disney's Pinocchio movie was every bit as popular as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So of course, there had to be a mold of Pinocchio, and that mold had to include his long, long nose. And where would Pinocchio be without the wonderful little cricket who acted as Pinocchio's conscience? So what could be better than to create Jiminy Cricket with his top hat, his top coat, and his cute little umbrella? The creepy crawler Thingmaker started a 60s phenomenon, and so other mold sets were released as well. Those included Fighting Men, Fright Factory, Incredible Edibles, Hot Wheels Factory, Dolly Maker, and Jillions of Jewels. Any way you look at it, Mattel's Thingmaker was responsible for stacks and stacks of fun and entertainment for kids growing up in the 1960s. But ultimately, times change, new standards are adopted, and in 1973, the Consumer Product Safety Commission took over the regulation of toys. And the potential of getting burned by the hot-plated Thingmaker was deemed too dangerous for kids. Mattel created another system that didn't involve the heat, but it never really caught on like the original Thingmaker. Any way you look at it, the original creepy crawlers created an amazing legacy of fun and creative joy for the bright-eyed kid lucky enough to have owned one. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. Please help support the making of these videos by subscribing and give us a like as well. Thank you and have a fantastic day.